Hello everybody watching this, and welcome to a series that will be a sort of commentary on all the adventures we're doing for the Cyberpunk D&D. Basically, I'll just be discussing my thought process, doing all of these, writing the adventures, and actually playing them, what was going through my head when I was making certain decisions. And stuff like that, just a little bit more of a casual, laid-back kind of thing where I'm just going to talk about how I did things and maybe give some advice on how to also write D&D adventures, even if they're not cyberpunk-based. Let's start from the start. Yeah, I don't know if I'll discuss... I'll talk about where I got the rules first. So in the description of all the D&D videos about Cyberpunk, including this one, I hope, there will be a link to the Cyberpunk conversion of 5e, which is what I'm using. I don't remember who made it, but this guy just made all these documents that converted all the mechanics of D&D into Cyberpunk. It was really nice because I wanted to do a Cyberpunk like tabletop role-playing game, but I didn't want to do like Cyberpunk Red because it's like a whole new system, and it seems like it's a little bit more for role-playing than gameplay, and I wanted more gameplay, like it's at least the ones that I watched of it, and I didn't like the mechanics as much as I do 5e. And I didn't want to do Shadowrun because, first of all, Shadowrun is super complicated, and my players have really only just started D&D. They haven't done very much, so I don't want them to just throw them into the deep end of one of the most complex, popular tabletop games. And the world I didn't really want to use. I didn't want fantasy in the Cyberpunk. I wanted to go as just straight up Cyberpunk as possible. But of course, in D&D, I can't have everybody be human and robots, obviously. So there are different kinds of races. With like most of them are mutants, and obviously you need some kind of spell equivalent. And psionics ended up being kind of like the main central like event of the like the campaign setting. The guy who made the conversion, it seemed like he kind of had a story in the setting, but he never finished it. So I just kind of made my own because he was kind of going for a more fantasy route as well, and I didn't really want that. I just wanted Cyberpunk. Alright, and my choice for the music, the SMT4 music, I really like Shin Megami Tensei. That's about it. It is Cyberpunk though. Most of the mainline games except for Nocturne and probably 5 are gonna be Cyberpunk. Or no, what? So 5 is not gonna be Cyberpunk. It doesn't look like. But 1, 2, and 4 are really Cyberpunk, especially 2. And I didn't really want to use like the old school music because that wouldn't really made much sense because it's all like chiptune. But I also really like that SMT4 soundtrack. It's my favorite soundtrack, so I wanted to use that. And it doesn't seem like it gets copyrighted. I looked it up, and it doesn't seem like you get copyrighted for SMT4 music. And especially since it's so quiet in the video, so hopefully that'll be okay. Alright, so what is up next? What am I going to talk about? I talk about the actual adventure. And obviously, spoilers for the episodes. Go and check out episode 1 and 2 of the D&D before this, because I'll be spoiling it. I won't be spoiling the overarching story. I'm thinking I'm just going to do one big commentary about the overall, like, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and then I'll do just one huge commentary video where we talk about the entire series and my overall thoughts on, like, the entire thing. For now, we're just going to be focusing on the first adventure, which is the Motorcyclepedia one. So, we started the campaign off with Mr. Man's character, Shiza. By the way, the Shiza reference, yes, it is a JoJo's reference. You're not going to hide that, it's really obvious. Hopefully, Shiza's fate does not come true, though. hopefully that doesn't happen. Otherwise, we will have to make the she's a joke. I think we're legally obligated to do that. I think we get sued if we don't. So, she's his character. I'll talk about him a little bit. He changed. He seemed like he changed a lot throughout this one. Mystery Man didn't really. It didn't seem like he really liked the character when he made him. It seemed like he made them more because he felt forced to make a healer. Because he thought, oh, I'm gonna make a fighter, and then our other two players who will be coming probably in the next one will not choose healers. They'll choose something else. And it seems like they are right now. They're both choosing something else, but he felt a little bit forced to do a healer and a paladin, even though it seemed like the character that he was trying to do was kind of like the opposite of a paladin. I'm gonna turn this background music off. It's not really fitting. Sorry, great music. Anyway, so he didn't really seem to enjoy the initial character very much because we had to go for a really long time on what his oath would be. I don't even remember what oath we picked. We'll probably have to pick later though, but he didn't really enjoy doing paladin because he wanted his character to be kind of like the opposite of a paladin. But I think we ended up figuring it out though. And it seemed like he changed his character about halfway through the adventure, from being a little bit more serious to being more of a comic relief dumb character. He wasn't originally going to go for that, but it's what he ended up doing. And to be honest, whatever. I think it fits for the comedy sections. Hopefully he figures out how to play him during dramatic sections. Because the story will be on the dramatic side. But obviously this is a D&D and it's with this group. So we're going to have comedy, obviously. And we're here to have fun. This is a Vampire the Masquerade. We're here to have fun. So yeah, with that character introduction, with D87, I can't really commentate on him too much because his whole thing is spoiler. Obviously, I have it planned out what his backstory is. But if I talk about it at all, it'll be a spoiler. So I'm not going to commentate on that at all. Just this introduction is like one of the key points of the character. It was like one of the first things I came up for with the character. I wanted to have a character who was like a student to one of the other characters, and this is the whole setup for that. His subclass, when we get to level 3, in the next adventure will be level 3, and the last one will be level 2. Is going to be Street Samurai. It is like, because I've always wanted to do Battle Master. It's the Cyberpunk equivalent to Battle Master. I always wanted to do Battle Master because it seemed really awesome. I never found the excuse to do it though, and this is it. And because as a samurai, serving the Lord, stuff like that. We had the whole introduction. I had a whole thing planned out where we were gonna do stuff about like model numbers and stuff, but maybe we'll do that later. And I wanted to do a part where we go shopping because I kind of wanted to introduce the new system for like the wealth checks, because in the Cyberpunk thing, instead of having a defined amount of gold or money, you do checks to see if you have enough money to buy it. And I still don't really understand it now. I'll try to figure it out later. But I wanted to introduce it by having him buy D87 clothes or armor and clothes. And after they left the shop, obviously they got the main mission from Nimble Venom. We just called him Venom, but his full name is Nimble Venom. And they go to Venom's Heat to the Red Light District. And also, I just wanted to say that I have each. So since this is New York, there are all the boroughs. They're in Queens right now. I don't know if I mentioned that. They're in Queens, and each of the boroughs is separated into districts. And there was the residential district that they went. All the districts they went through are the residential district at the start, the shopping district when they were shopping, obviously, or it's the market district actually. Yeah, it's the market district, the red light district. When I said we were going to the red light district, and then the art district for the museum. Those are all the districts they went through, and there are more in Queens, and then there are more through all the boroughs. And I have all the boroughs planned out what they're going to be, and I do have an overarching story, obviously. But I know what each of the boroughs and districts are right now. I have them all right now. And but I'm not going to talk too much about it. We'll get there when we get there. And so, Light District is obviously inspired by like anime sort of stuff. And stories I've heard about in the real life red light districts is what inspired the actual red light district in here. Because, you know, this is Cyberpunk, of course, is going to be a red light district. So, I'll talk about Venom stuff when we get there. And they go into this Venom's heat. And I didn't want the club to be too crazy. I just wanted it to be a pretty normal looking club. I didn't really have any idea for what I didn't want it to be particularly unique. So they get there, and then the bodyguard. I improvised a little bit of this. We haven't had the encounter yet, right? I don't think we did. Yeah, we did not. I don't think we had the encounter with the bar. The bar obviously was like a random thing I rolled. I did not plan for that. It was improvised. So with Venom himself, Nimble Venom, I didn't really know what I wanted him to be. Obviously, I wanted him to be this imposing, but not super imposing crime boss. I wanted him to be like obviously he's this low rank crime boss. That's why I wanted to run him. But I didn't really have that much of an idea of a personality for him. Hopefully, I can find one eventually. Because right now, I'm not super into this character. I want them to bond more than the party. But without a personality, you can't really bond. Hopefully, I can find a personality for him later. But yeah, with Venom, he has obviously all the connections there. I'm planning on having him do a lot more commentary in like the world. It'll be kind of like their gateway to the world, kind of. We'll get more commentary on that, just when they get to part 2. Yeah. He's going to be their main source of jobs for the next while. He was like their first employer, basically. So all of his jobs are going to be based around doing like crime and his whole thing doing that. And so he tells them about Crash Zero, the motorcycle game. So I knew that I wanted to have an encounter in a ruined museum because I thought that sounded pretty interesting. And so I was looking for museums in the real New York to base this adventure on. And I didn't really find anything too interesting until I got to the Motorcyclepedia museum. And finding that meant that I had to do an adventure based around motorcycles now. Because, like, I can't not do a Motorcyclepedia museum. Like, I can't not do that. So I built the whole thing around it being a motorcycle museum and it being a motorcycle game. Originally, it was like, oh, they're a group of vigilantes who think they're trying to be good guys. I didn't really play in that too much. I wish I did a little bit more. I only played that, like, a little bit. Not that much, though. It's kind of a detail I threw in there because I thought I was going to emphasize that more, but I did not end up doing that. And their leader, Jumbo Mammoth. If you can't tell, most of these names are randomly generated. But all Cyberpunk names sound randomly generated. Yeah. I thought I was going to do more with the guy that he sent. I was trying to set up stuff. You can tell I'm trying to set up a lot of. I was trying to set up a lot of stuff here that I didn't actually pay off in this adventure that well. Oopsies. That's all I really say about that. So we had the encounter with the mutants. Obviously, that was a random encounter that I rolled, and beforehand I had built a mutant encounter, just in case they had rolled that, and they did, and obviously, the flying snake was a big issue in that. The flying snake, he was like challenge rating like 1/8, and I was complaining about that. But I'm sure if you're savvy in the D&D, you know challenge rating is complete garbage. It just is arbitrary. No, not 1/8. Was it 1/4? Can't find him in this list. Oh, I know. Here it is. Yeah. But you know that challenge rating makes no sense. It's like, sure, his strength and intelligence and charisma are terrible, and his HP is terrible, stuff like that, and he has very little abilities, but he does so much damage. Like, what the frick? Why does he deal so much damage? I don't understand. Did I play him wrong? Because it says here just bite. His bite is 1 piercing damage and then 3d4 poison. I don't think I did that wrong. That's just what his damage is. But, you know, obviously. It's pretty... Challenge rating is pretty... I want to say bogus. I have no idea why I say bogus. I guess I'm feeling very Bill and Ted today. Yeah, it's not very good. I should have really paid attention to that more, but I just thought playing Snake just sounded really cool, so I guess that's why I put him there. Without looking at his stat sheet too much. And he rolled a 20. That really sucks. Oh, there were a lot of unfortunate 20s in this adventure, but we'll get to that later. I was very unlucky. Alright, so... how about we just skip to the lobby? The entrance... I don't need much commentary on that. I wanted it to be foreboding. I don't have anything else to say about that. Let's go to the lobby. The lobby... So the lobby encounter. I just wanted this to be a fight. I'm gonna be real. I'm sure everybody knew. I wanted this to be a fight. But obviously it ended up being a fight. He got very lucky on that. Very lucky. And obviously that was a lot of improvisation on his part and my part. I meant to be trap there too. There is a trap there, but like, I just got rid of it because like, what's the point? If they're not in a fight, then there's the point of the trap. I wanted to be an interesting encounter, but then he ruined it, so that's D&D. Yeah, obviously there was a lot of improvisation there. I don't think there's much to commentate on that, really. And just what happened is what happened. We just improvised our way through all of that, and I think it turned out pretty funny. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I have to say, so let's go to the Chopper City part. I never went to Chopper City, and you can tell that I kind of wanted him to go that direction. Basically, that was their living quarters, and I wanted them to search that so that they could find magazines to help them on the puzzle in the puzzle room. And also I wanted there to be biker equipment so that they could do better in the motorcycle encounter, because you have the equipment, you do better, but they never found it. It sucks. And well, I don't think I have to say anything about the trap. The trap was a trap. End of story. The puzzle room. I wanted to make this themed around it being a museum. I wanted it to feel like it was a museum where it has like the little displays that are like quizzes and stuff, you know? I want to do something like that. And I think that the role-playing aspect with it there, I think it went well. But what actually happened, so how it mechanically worked was that I had thought through pretty much all the ways they could try to get around actually doing the quiz. It is basically, if you rolled a 20, you could just bypass the whole thing. I didn't want this to be an extremely difficult puzzle. I didn't want this to be like that, because it's just a stupid quiz. Yeah. So they could have done a computing check to try to hack it. They could have done a strength check to try to break it. They didn't make it, though. They tried that. They didn't make it. And then the video, I just thought it was something funny. It's a little comedy thing here. And all of the questions I looked up, they were on, I think, Britannica and Wikipedia. I did not know them myself, obviously, but those were where they're from. I don't know if the information... I didn't check the information too much. Because who cares? This is freaking D&D. So, yeah. All of the questions, at least, were online on decently reliable sources. And yeah, the video is just for fun. And how I was gonna have it work is that they could do checks to try to find the answers. They could roll academic checks, see if they know what it is, or they could do a computing check and try to bypass the one question instead of the entire quiz. And then they could just try to guess, or if they just legitimately know it themselves, which I don't think they would, then they could just do that. And if they get it wrong, it would restart the whole quiz, but I'm not. It would just skip to the next question. It would just go to the question they were at for pacing. But I would role play it up like, oh, it was really annoying and stuff like that. But they never ended up getting a question wrong because they just rolled really good. Like both of us rolled awesome, except for that one time. But then we just rolled in a different room and rolled good. Oh, and that virus thing was just because I thought, like, obviously I had made that point very clear that D87 was directly connected to the internet and they have phones, because this is the future. Obviously they have phones, and so like obviously they just try to look up the answer because that's what I would do in real life. So that's what I did there, and then make sure that they don't try to do that. And let's get to part 2, the second part, which is the boss fight. Alright, so this is the boss fight section. Wait, I didn't put chapters in the video. Oh no, I'll have to do that. So this is... What am I talking about? Alright, so the boss fight. So I wanted to have... I was looking into the Motorcycle Museum. The Motorcyclepedia Museum. And this is where I got a lot of the ideas for the locations and stuff. And one of the things I found there was called the Wall of Death. So obviously I had to check out what the Wall of Death was. And the Wall of Death is basically this small little, like, 360-degree ramp that goes all the way around in a circle. So, and it's like it's straight up vertical. And somebody who's very skilled at like driving a motorcycle, like as like a stunt man or something, can roll around, drive around it in a circle like super fast. It looks very impressive and cool. Like, okay, obviously this is gonna be what I'm gonna theme the encounter around, but I can't have it be this teeny tiny little thing that can barely fit like one person. There are bigger versions that can fit multiple people, but it wasn't quite big enough for what I wanted, so I just had this huge wall of death. I could fit like this huge arena to actually fight in. And the Jumbo Mammoth, obviously, I just made him very stereotypical excited biker dude, kind of like Mad Max style. They have this big speech. I wanted him to be very showy, and there's not really too much to talk about there. I had a little script that I read from. And let's just get to the boss fight. Well, the actual boss fight, obviously I had to write a bunch of mechanics around motorcycle fighting, because those don't exist. I guess nobody's ever thought, what if you drove around motorcycles and fought each other in D&D? The closest I thought of was either horseback riding, fighting, or jousting. I don't think I looked in the horseback riding, which probably would have been the closest. Instead I looked in the joust rules, but joust was obviously not what I'm looking for at all. It was completely different. It was just joust. So instead I wrote my own rules, where obviously they had the turn thing. Basically, if they turn very quickly at either like a 180 or a 90-degree angle, you have to roll a DC 10 or DC 15 dex save respectively. And if you get hit, I totally did not remember this. Or if you get hit on a motorcycle, you have to roll a check, and if you get hit, you fall off. That would have been really annoying. Don't do that. I'm glad I did not do that, because that just sounds like hell. Falling off your motorcycle really sucks. So it shouldn't be something that should be happening a lot. It should just be something that's like, oh crap, I gotta hurry, like very quick thing, or oh crap, I gotta take advantage of the fact that the enemy fell off. It should not be a very regular event, so don't do that. Even though it makes sense, don't do it. It would not be very fun. And obviously I talked about the test runs. I'll do that quickly here. Basically, the first test, I forgot that I had great weapon fighting, and I rolled a 1 and almost killed Shiza. I downed him. Really, that did make sense because I was one-handing the katana, but I thought that I had messed up. So I stopped that one, and I did a second one where we were falling off our motorcycles left and right. It was crazy. We were like always off our motorcycles during that test one, and because of that, we died. And the third one, we just kept falling off our motorcycles. I think it was because of that rule where if you get hit, you have to make a dex save. I might have been doing that actually. And maybe just subconsciously, I was like, hey, this sucks. Don't do that. I'm going to take it out of my document here. I'm going to remove that because that's stupid. And that's why I do test runs. Because if we didn't do test runs, we would have definitely died. And he did die. It was kind of the same situation except reversed, where Shiza died, like legit died, and I was okay. But it was like I would actually ended up was day 7. Was unconscious, but he made all this. Well, no, he didn't have time to do all of his death saves. I think he did like 1 success and 1 fail before the fight ended, and then Shiza had 4 intelligence and 4 health. No, 3 intelligence and 4 health. And yeah, but I did like the. Before we get to there, I would say I nerfed the boss. What I did was I took away an ability from Jumbo Mammoth and took away an ability from Wicked Shift, because I thought those 2 abilities were the main problem. And also, apparently, I accidentally just ignored the rule that we had to make a dex every time we got hit. And really, that was a good call on my part, even though I didn't mean to do it. Alright, so I had removed Brute off of Jumbo Mammoth. If you don't know, Brute is an ability that makes it so that you roll an extra dice every time you do a melee attack. So he was doing 2d6 plus 3 instead of 1d6 plus 3. And I am extremely glad that I did this, because he rolled 3 20s throughout the fight. Obviously, I had no control over that. It just happened. We were very unlucky. I think the boss fight would have went better if we were lucky. But whatever. It is what it is. But if I had kept that, we would have obviously died. And Wicked Shift, he originally had Cunning Action, but I decided to take that away from him and just give Jumbo Mammoth Cunning Action, because Cunning Action is super good on Motorcycle. It means that you can use Disengage as a bonus action, as well as Dash. And Hide, but that doesn't really matter for us. That's for roads. And you can't hide on a motorcycle. I don't know if you know this. You can't do that. That's stupid. But yeah, Dash and Disengage. Because you could go across the arena really fast. You never did that though. And Disengage so that you do not have to take an opportunity attack, so you can just attack, which I thought was a really cool thing. And then I think it did work out pretty well, and I'm glad I took it off Wicked Shift, because I was really overpowered. And also Brute was super brutal, because you just get hit once and you're almost dead. So I took those away. I like making hard encounters because I like Nocturne too much. And I thought, you know, if I make it difficult, it'd be more interesting. But this is D&D. If you die in Nocturne, you just restart the game. Or no, right now restart the game. You just go back to the last terminal. If you die in D&D, you're dead. So, yeah. And the rolling off mechanic, I don't think it only happened once. We only fell off once, which is good, because really falling off is just something to be like an oh crap moment. Not like a, oh, I fell off again for the 4th time in this fight. Yeah, and we supposed to take fall damage if you fall off a motorcycle, and I don't think I ever did that. You're supposed to take fall damage if you fall off your motorcycle, because you're going so fast. And I think only Wicked Shift fell off. Maybe Shiza did. I think no, it happened twice. I don't remember. It didn't happen very often, especially compared to the test runs. It felt like at least at any point 1 or 2 people were off their motorcycles, like at all times. It was usually the players, because they didn't have motorcycle expert. If you don't know, I don't think I ever talked about this, but they have Wicked Shift and Jumbo Mammoth have traits called motorcycle expert, where they get advantage on like checks related to motorcycles. And basically how the falling off worked is you would try to get back on, and you'd roll an athletics check. If you got a 1 through 10, you could not start your motorcycle. If you got a 11 through 15, you started your motorcycle, you were on it, so that you did not get attacked with advantage. But you cannot move yet, you're still stuck in place. And if you got 16 through 20, you can move, but you do not have your action. You cannot have get onto your motorcycle in itself is a action. You cannot get your action back, but if you roll really high, then you get your move action, at least. I think that's about it. I want to talk about the end of the boss fight. So obviously we were super unlucky throughout the fight. We did not get very lucky. The bosses kept rolling 20s on us, but we somehow managed to get it to where it was just Jumbo Mammoth with 17 out of 27 HP, because I gave him a lot of HP, which was probably a good idea. And we did not hit him at all. And she said 4. So like, okay, you two, and because he was monkey brain and dumb, he roleplayed the dumb thing really well. And that's not meant to be an insult. But they had attacked each other, or he attacked him. She's attacked a mammoth, and I was playing it where if you attack somebody, you attack first, and then the opportunity to attack after, and then anybody rolled them at the same time. And the boss had rolled a 20, and he had rolled an 18. So it's like, well, if you don't, even if he hadn't rolled a 20, still probably would have died. I think, yeah, no man has a +4 to his attack, +3, actually. So no matter what he rolled, it would have been dead if he had hit. So it doesn't really matter if they rolled a 20. But yeah, so it's like, okay, you have, if you want to finish him, you have to use your divine smite. So he did that. And also throughout the fight, he had forgotten that he had spell slots, which is really funny. But yeah, I forgot about spell slots. I forgot it was a paladin, I guess. And so he attacked with his divine smite, and I was like, okay, let's see what he rolls damage. And he didn't actually roll enough, which is really sad. And I was like, you know what? They've gotten so unlucky in this fight. This is not gone well. Even though I feel like the boss was balanced, we just got really unlucky. Like, I feel like the boss is actually really balanced after I had tested them and nerfed them, but we just got really unlucky. So I was like, screw it. And it was really ironic. I felt really bad because I had just said I don't fudge my rolls, but I was like, if I do this, the campaign is over. So, and it's the first adventure, so I'm not gonna follow that rule. I'm gonna fudge this once. This is their freebie because we got unlucky. This is their freebie. I'm gonna try not to fudge any more rolls. I might do it in the heat of the moment where, if they're like about to lose, I was like, screw it, let's do it. I don't think I'm gonna ever fudge it out of their favor. I don't think I'm gonna fudge rolls except for extremely dire circumstances. Maybe. But I might just ignore that, because it was in the realm of possibility. At least if I had rolled his the damage higher, he could have killed it. He just didn't get it. He just didn't roll enough. He could have. It was in the realm of possibility, because it was 2d6 plus 1d6, like +3, I think. And he has 17 HP, so he could have rolled enough. He could have. He just didn't. But I'm not gonna fudge I don't think I'm gonna fudge a roll outside of the realm of possibility. Because like, if it's just not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. But it could have happened. I'm really sorry. I try not to fudge again. But it was either that or the campaign ended at the first adventure. I mean, if it had ended, it would just probably restarted the fight, but it still sucked that I had to do that. We just got really unlucky. I feel like the boss was balanced. We just got really unlucky. So obviously at the end there, I had to do a lot of improv because I could not have planned for this to happen. So you can tell that I was stalling for time a lot with this one, because I was just like trying to think of what I could do. So he stalled for a while, just have the bandits kind of mess around with him. And then I thought, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Oh crap, what am I gonna do? I was like, okay, this is a motorcycle place, right? And most of the motorcycles are broken, so how do they all have motorcycles? Well, obviously they have some kind of engineer guy to fix their motorcycles. So that's what I did. I was like, okay, so they have an engineer guy. I just made him a pretty generic engineer guy with an accent. I don't know why I did that, but I did. So I introduced this character had come right in the spot, and I was like, wait, he's an engineer, not a roboticist. So I just had an offhand comment where it's like, hey, I'm not an expert at robots, but I'll try my best. I'll call up my robot friends, see if they can help me out here. So I just said, like, a few days later, you wake up in a garage because it's a motorcycle place, and I talk to him. And then the rec room, like, I have no idea what room to make the next room. Like, what would that be? I just said, oh, there's a door. But I was like, what is through the door? I was like, how about a rec room? I was like, okay. Because I was just trying to come up with stuff as fast as possible. So I just had to go with what my mind first thought of. Just like, what's the first thing I can think of? Okay, we're doing that. And I was like, okay, so what do, like, what's the stereotypical motorcycle game thing to do at a bar? Drink beer and play pool. And I couldn't think of anything else at the top of my head. So I just made the whole room full of pool tables and a bar. So I had them drinking beer, and they had a little conversation. Blah, 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 blah. Fast forward, they're out of the garage. I was like, okay, we're finally back on track. So we get back to the Red Lake District. And go to Vitamin C. I had them play him really confused. I didn't really plan on him doing that, but I had to because the doy. I was like, okay, he's gonna tell them that he's gonna have more jobs for them because it's the whole point of this beginning part of the campaign. I leave, and I had an encounter planned for them to go back to the bar because we had made a really big point to get back to the bar at some point. And that random encounter that we had in the Red Lake District. And in between part 1 and 2, I was like, okay, let's do this. I was like, okay, I want to have a little encounter here. So I did that. I had an encounter there. And I had planned, anyway, we go there. And I had also come up with the idea that, you know, robots use batteries as drugs. Because I had mentioned, like, in that random encounter on the spot, I just said, like, oh, we have a lot of batteries here. All my robot friends say this is the best word I know. I just said that on top of my head, and I thought, you know what, how about I make that a thing? Which is actually going to be a theme throughout a lot of this, I think. Just something I say on the top of my head, and I make it to an actual thing. And so we go there, and I wanted the motorcycle guys that they had convinced to go out and buy birthday supplies. I wanted to meet them there. I'm actually glad that it took 4 days because I didn't want them to go back like a couple hours afterwards because it would make sense for them to go through all of this change after like a couple hours. At least a day. But 4 days was enough time. I didn't plan for the democratically elected thing, but earlier I had just said we democratically elected a next leader. The engineer guy said that. I just said that just randomly. And so I was like, how am I going to make that a thing? So I had him talk about the one more particularly talk about that he'd been elected as a leader because I wanted him to be like, we turned over a new leaf, and wanted the museum to be a real museum again. That's what that was the point I wanted to make, and all the other stuff was just fluff that I had come up with on the spot. That was the main point that I wanted to make. I don't have any plans for that right now, but I'm planning on making anything at some point. So they left, and I wanted to. I realized that I hadn't utilized the screen face very much. I wanted it to be that whenever he felt certain emotions, his screen face would change from a smiley face to different kinds of faces. I realized I haven't done that at all, so I kind of like, okay, he does this, and I wanted to have it where he like analyzes samurai like clips. I wanted it to be a thing, so that's what I did, and I did that. And I think that's about it. That's where we ended off, and the next adventure I have planned out. I haven't written it out yet. I have part of it written out, and I'll do a commentary on that one too. I'll have to be more vague about that one since the main story is teased in that one a little bit more. So I have to be, you'll probably tell I'll be a lot more vague with that. Yeah, that's about it. And probably by the next adventure we will have 4 party members instead of 2, which will be nice. Yeah, I think that's about it. If you enjoyed this, if Yeah, this was interesting for me to talk about all of the stuff I did for this adventure. I'll be doing this for every other adventure that we do, just so you know, you can see my thought process going through all of this. If you did enjoy this, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, watch the actual series, please. Notification bell, all the usual stuff. And yeah, I think I'll see you guys probably, hopefully, in part 3. See ya.